Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to The Breakdown with your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben. We are live from the Majestic Coffee Shop at the Neon Parrot Live Studios. Looking for sponsors, wanting some money around here. So anybody that can help us out with that, that'd be great. I'd like to tell my technical producer extraordinaire, Sammy, happy birthday today. It is his birthday. And Sammy gets to do whatever he wants today on his birthday. And hopefully I'll be taking him out to lunch after this show and maybe having a frosty cold beverage. Who knows? It is Thursday here in the lean. Man, what a weekend last weekend. Everything just was wacky with the football stuff. What we did not expect to see Jaden Daniels go off like that. That was nuts with the Washington Commandos. We had our college football national championship go down on Monday, which was kind of a weird day, Monday night. I don't know. I think the NFL and the college football people will be getting together to see if they can't better work their schedule to kind of help each other out a little bit. But anyways, goodness gracious, we're going to break down all kinds of football today, folks. I'm going to get to Big Frank pretty quick here because our Chicago Bears have hired their new head coach in Ben Johnson, and that is really exciting. He's the offensive coordinator, was formerly known as the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, and they were knocked out by the Commandos. And so Ben Johnson heard the call. The Bears, he gave him the bag, really opened the vault doors of the bank to get this guy. And I know everybody's just pumped about that in Chicago. Hopefully he ends up being a good head coach as he was an offensive coordinator. So we're going to get Big Frank's take on this and on what went on over the weekend. And here we go, folks. You know how this rolls on the breakdown. Get our friends in here, tell us what they think. And I've also got something interesting in store for the program.
Hello.
Hey, Big Frank, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How about you, Ben?
Man, I'm doing great. How about everybody in Chicago's pretty happy today, huh?
Let me tell you something. It's Christmas Day all over again down here, Ben.
Heck yeah, that is so cool. I'm so excited for you guys. I was gonna open the show with how you guys got probably the best coaching prospect, and nobody really wants the Raiders job apparently.
No, you know what? It's true. Usually in the past around here, and unfortunately we go through head coaches very similar to like the Raiders every 3 or 4 years. They try to bring somebody else new, and it's always not, a known guy, but it's always, somebody that you never heard of, but they're trying to get the next best thing. And, this guy obviously I think was everyone's number one choice on their list. And to be as aggressive as we were to go at it, it's kind of not really what we used to do in the past, so I don't know if the new, Kevin Warren, the new guy, had anything to do with it. And they swung for the fences and they think they got their guy. So he's the hottest guy out there right now. So, we'll see. But the excitement up over here is just off the charts.
What did you think? What did you think about the opening press conference? I liked it. How he said he liked to see Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Oh yeah. He hit it on all on all phases out there. I think. I mean, he seems to know what he wants to do. He's never been a head coach before, but he's kind of figured out. He goes, the last couple of years, opportunities have come up. He goes, but I just didn't really think I was ready. He goes, this year I felt like I'm ready to move on to that next level as being a head coach. So we'll see where it goes. So
Man, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you guys on that one. What about? I
yeah,
think
like
the college national championship game went exactly how you said it would.
yeah, well, pretty much so. Notre Dame is. We went up to a local bar up here just to watch it, and a couple of the guys I know, they're huge Notre Dame fans. And after that first drive, it's like that's what you got to do. It's a 10-minute drive score. I go, hey, wait, you got to stop. Ohio State. That kid, their freshman receiver. I don't know his name, but his number is number 4, I believe.
Yes.
That kid, in a couple years, I don't know when how college is. I think you got to spend just 1 year in college before you can, turn pro or whatever too. But that kid is going to be really, really good. So, and it kind of, went at it. They just have too many weapons, for Notre Dame to keep up with. So, yeah, it was kind of how we figured out it was going to be. I think they made it a lot closer in the end that indicated, in the game. I don't know if Ohio State was playing a little bit more, like lax, not trying to give up the big play. But man, I thought for sure at halftime that thing was just going to be a total blowout. But to give Notre Dame credit, they did come back in the second half and then, try to keep it somewhat within striking distance before, they just finally, didn't have enough of the horses. I don't think Ohio State that good.
Yeah,
So,
and it was really cool that Notre Dame didn't. They can be proud of how they performed, because in the beginning there at half, I was like, "Uh oh, this is gonna get real ugly," but I was
yeah.
I was glad to see that it didn't.
Yeah,
You know?
and the new playoff system, which I really like this year, the 12 team. If you're a football fan like we all are, I mean, you love seeing as much good football as you can. And if it wasn't for the fact of that, Notre Dame, especially with not being affiliated with any conference or something, that'd be hard to get into a national championship game. Okay, but with this system that they have, I mean, literally every year they should be at least in the mix to get in there and play and have a chance. I mean, they beat some pretty good teams to get there, but it's just Ohio State was that much better, I think, this year than pretty much everybody else out there. I thought Oregon was the cream of the crop until they dismantled them pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of like how we expected it, but it's we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's
Next year.
still a good game. So on to the NFL and breaking down last weekend. I mean, so I would like to start with: do you think there is a Chiefs controversy over some of these phantom calls that Mahomes is getting, or is it just like, or does everybody need to just quit being crazy about that?
I think there's I don't know. I think there's something to be said for that. Mahomes is at that stature. Like, okay, he's like multiple MVP winner. 2-time or 3-time Super Bowl winner, 2 in a row here, and you get the benefit of some of the calls. That go your way. They're going to really try to, protect him per se, because he's not the type of quarterback like a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson or even a Joe Burrow, a big guy that can run. He only really scrambles when he has to. They don't run any designed RPOs with him like these other guys do. And Josh Allen, he'll call his number if he's inside the 10-yard line to get in the end zone. So when he scrambles, it's almost kind of like, okay, you got to really be careful because they're gonna be out for him. So some of those calls are very questionable, but I think if you touch him and you hit him, like if you're sliding, I know that one they made a big thing about is when he slid, the two Houston guys hit each other really before they hit him. But if you're sliding, there's no way you should be diving at the guy to hit him. All you got to do is touch him because he's giving himself up.
Right.
When he goes to slide, you let him go. And I don't even know. I should check the rule on that. I don't even know if you even have to touch him if he's giving himself up.
Right.
Because giving himself up, he can't get up and run. So if he goes into the slide, if you're concerned about it, all you got to do is just tap him and let him go. But they're trying to get him if he hasn't gone into the slide and I'm starting my tackle and then he decides to slide, you know, how is that my fault if he slid late? And I think that's where the judgment comes in, is if these guys go to slide late and somebody's already starting to get the tackle, I think you have to take that into consideration. But on that particular play that I think we're talking about where he slid, he looked like he was sliding, and those guys went to go after him. Again, technically, even though he hit him, I think they're going to call that one on it. And yeah, I think they do get some of their calls, like especially if he's going out of bounds and he tries to come in for another yard or two, but then he steps out of bounds and then you hit him. That's more of a judgment call too. And I think 10 out of 10 times when he's going out of bounds and you hit him, you're going to get the flag.
Yeah, and it's like the defenses should just be smarter than, or what I think might happen is somebody's going to go to take his head off,
Correct. And that's what they're trying to do, especially when he runs. He's not inside the pocket. So if he's running and he's not going to go slide, it's open season. But the thing is, when he runs, and then in any quarterback, when you go to slide, you're giving yourself up, so you're not allowed to be touched.
Right.
Regardless, whether you don't think you hit him hard or at all, he just can't be touched. And I think, maybe that they need to look at that in the off season. The competition committee gets together and says, hey, look at, what's going to constitute giving up? If a guy slides late or something like that, can it be reviewed? Because you're seeing that in, full speed, but always when you go to review, everything is always slowed up. So you have more of, time to look at and see what it is. And so then, well, maybe, yeah, they shouldn't have called a penalty on that. You could pick the flag up. So every year they're always looking to, adjust the rules. So I think that's one that everybody's going to really complain about is, hey, these guys are giving them up. If they didn't give themselves up too early and I'm trying to make the tackle, I just can't stand there and wait for him to slide. He may run right past me.
Right, exactly.
Like that. So, but it always seems to follow those guys the most because they do seem to get, the calls. For instance, take a look at that Detroit game when Jared Goff, and I'm sure we'll talk about that game, but not to jump ahead, but he throws that pick six and he's going to on the 5-yard line, somebody cleans his glove. It's him right underneath the helmet in the chest. And that could have been, they were all saying, man, that's helmet to helmet.
Right.
They even targeting. Nothing was called on that, okay? I'll guarantee you if that's Patrick Mahomes, that guy's flagged and even thrown out of the game for targeting.
Yeah.
Because he waylaid. I don't know if you know the play that I'm talking
about. I did see that. I was pretty shocked. I was like, that guy's clearly a second-class citizen quarterback in this league.
So that's where it comes into effect. If you're going to call it for Patrick Mahomes, call that for everybody.
Yeah.
But just because you're not Mahomes doesn't mean you get that benefit of the doubt or I didn't see it. So that's where it gets iffy with that. And I could see why, especially if it's, my team playing him, like, man, he gets all the calls.
Right. And then the Texans did not start that game off very well. What was that? Whenever the special teams guy went and shoved his coach and cussed him out, like, I don't even know what that was all about.
Yeah, but that was another one.
That was like the first play out of the gates. And I'm like, this is not going to be good.
I've never seen anybody push a coach like that. I've always seen them arguing and yelling and guys get in between them and they're pointing fingers. But this guy was actually absolutely, and he got the penalty. And so it's like they tackled him. The guy made a good return. He tackled him and he caused a fumble. And he thought his team recovered the fumble because he's just running off to the side. He throws his helmet. And because you throw your helmet when you're in a game, you can't take your helmet off unless it gets hit off in the course of a play. So they flagged him for another 15. I'm sure that's what the special team coach guy was yelling at him about. But yet this guy goes off on him. So
yeah, that's not a good sign, right?
No,
right out the gate. So that
I think we both had Kansas City in that game.
Yeah, we did.
Tried to make it as close as they could, but I just don't think the Texans had enough to go in there. So
yeah, and I think the story of the weekend, I think you'll agree with me here, is Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commandos knocking off the Lions. I was so sad for Dan Campbell and company, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, what a story.
Yeah, I mean that one is. I mean, when you talk about the game on that, what they score like 90 some points combined, and if you're Detroit and you score what I don't know if it was 31 or 33 they scored, you should win that game.
Yeah.
I mean that offensively wise, but again, I think what finally caught up to Detroit. We kind of hit on it briefly a little bit. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought Detroit really would win, but all the injuries on their
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah.
They just torched him with a quarterback that's mobile like that can run, that can also throw the ball. Detroit just didn't have any answer for him. I think they scored pretty much almost every time they had the ball. They only punted like once or twice, in the whole game. So it was like they score and you score, and then they would come back again. And Detroit just had no answer for them. And I think it's because they finally played a team that, in the playoffs, it's always like that. You're depleted on defense. They're just going to just roll you. So,
Absolutely. So, this weekend, it looks like, do you think, what I'd love to see the Washington win, but I mean, I think the Eagles, what do you think happens here against the Eagles in the
yeah, the Eagles win this one. Again, going back to last week, the only reason why the Eagles won that game was because of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
We
God,
talked
he's
about
destiny material. Destiny material.
and he runs. He's averaging over 100. I was reading this today. He's averaging over 140 yards against Washington because they've already played him twice this year. They're in the same division. Okay, so he can run him if Washington can't stop him, and they can control the ball with Washington's defense. That's the other thing. I think Philadelphia's defense is like one of the top two. It's either one or two in the league. It's not Detroit's defense. So I think Washington's going to have a little bit more of a tough time scoring. But if you can control the ball like Philadelphia did last week against the Rams, and run the ball, control the clock, score when you got it, it's tough to beat that, man. It really is. So I don't see, again, I didn't see Washington winning last week, but that's a whole different ballgame this week with Philly's defense. I think Philly wins again. I don't think it's a blowout, but I think with the combination of Barkley, controlling the ball and everything, they should win that game, I think.
Yeah, I think you got that one too. And then my sad LA Rams,
Yeah.
I wanted them to win, but I mean, I think we all knew that deal, but I don't know. That was a cool story that they got as far as they did.
Correct. Yeah. No, I was reading today in the paper. His wife put it out there. He didn't. The Stafford's wife said on her post that he's been playing with cracked ribs for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Holy crap.
He cracked like 2 or 3 ribs, like the second to the last game of the season, he didn't play in the last game because they rested. That was the thing. They rested their starters, and then come the playoffs. So he wasn't going to use it as an excuse, but she came out there and said, hey, this guy had some cracked ribs. So, it would have been a nice story. But again, the turnovers, he made a few turnovers. And,
Yeah.
that was the thing I thought the best game of the week was the Baltimore, like we both figured, the Baltimore Buffalo game.
Yeah.
Sure enough, what I had said was until Lamar can get over that hump of not making mistakes, and he threw an interception.
Yep.
Go back for a pick six, but he also had that fumble that the guy ran back that he didn't score, but it resulted in them scoring a field goal. And then you got to feel for that Mark Andrews, man.
Oh, that's the worst, that was so bad. But I feel like the sports world, just wants us to crown Lamar Jackson at the beginning of every season. And it's kind of tired at this point.
Yeah, he does great in the regular season, but he has yet to prove it in the postseason.
It's the same story. Yeah, every time. It's weird.
If it gets too big for him and he makes, some mistakes, at least this time he didn't make, too many mistakes, and you really can't, blame him on the last one. But even though that, even if he catches that, that's only tied, and that goes into OT. So who knows what happens in overtime? If Buffalo gets the ball and scores a touchdown, it's over. Or maybe they trade field goals. Or there's no guarantee they were going to win that anyway. It was not like that was for the win. That was just a tie to get into overtime. So it's Buffalo. They did what they needed to do to win. You got to love Josh Allen this year too. So
Heck yeah, and that's who I think the MVP should be Saquon Barkley for me. We don't have to give it to a quarterback every single year. Like that's who I think should get the MVP, but I think that Josh Allen's a close second for me.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. So that's always going to be a tough one
So
this year.
let's pick the Chiefs Bills. What do we
I
think?
like the Bills. I do like the Bills. I think the Chiefs, run out this time. I think Josh Allen is, and they beat him once already this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. It was around Thanksgiving. Yeah.
But I think they can do it again. I think because the cold weather's not going to bother Buffalo. They're used to that. It should be pretty cold down there in Kansas City like it always is. So that's just not going to affect Buffalo. And I just think that way Josh Allen is playing, I think that they could win that game. I'd like to see Buffalo win it because
me too. Yeah.
City, right? So,
yeah, it's just does the voodoo magic of Taylor Swift pull this thing out for them? You know what I mean? Because I just feel here again, it's just like they just win, and it looks like they're tired or they're asleep for half the game, and they're like, "Oh wait, we got to win this. Let's go win it," and then they just do.
Really, even then though, this year, and nobody really talks about it, or they do, but this year their defense, they have one of their top tier defenses too. So their defenses are keeping them a lot in the game. I mean, look how many times what's his name got sacked last week.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, their defense is keeping them in because on offense, they really don't have many weapons other than Travis Kelce. Their wide receivers are not really known guys, and I think one of them is even hurt. So, I mean, they can move the ball by running with it, and you always got Travis Kelce had a huge game. So I think if you can stay with them and hold them down, I think Buffalo has a real good chance of winning, and I'd like to see them win.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Buffalo and Philly in the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens this weekend.
Heck yeah, I love it. To close out, I'm gonna here in a little bit. I've got in the Wall Street Journal. There is a story, and the title of the story is "How the Most Violent Game in NFL History Made Me a Super Fan," and it is about the Bears versus the Raiders in 1984. And and it is a really cool article, and basically it was so violent that the Raiders quarterback Mark Wilson was knocked out of action twice. Backup David Humm wasn't only knocked out of the game, but out of football forever. He never played another down. And then when they tapped the third string quarterback for the Raiders, number 35-year-old punter Ray Guy refused to go in, according to players on the sidelines. He said he'd rather retire. How about that?
Yeah, I do have a vague memory of that because that was obviously that's 84. So that's when we were starting our run. Obviously we won the Super Bowl the next year in 85. So that was the Mike Dickey years where he tried to instill, this toughness, and our defense was always known. And that was the McMichael, the Hampton days, Mike Singletary in the middle, so those guys went after you. So I'd have to go back and think about it. But I vaguely remember there was a lot of games like that, though, where when the Bears played, and again, with all the rule changes now, there's no way they could have played the way they did back then as they do now, because the rules are changed so much that you couldn't get away with the stuff that you got away with back then. But yeah, they used to like to hit you.
Yeah, so, right.
That was in the old days before that, they had our two safeties, Doug Plank and Gary Fensick. Okay. And those guys used to have bets during a game because they always stunk so bad of who could we knock out of the game the fastest. Back then you could go after them and hit them high, in the head. And you can't do that any days. But that's what those guys used to do back then.
Yeah, that is so crazy. But this story, I might read the whole thing on air here in a little bit, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But well, I guess we'll see what happens this weekend, and we'll catch up with you next week. I really appreciate you joining us.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it, Ben.
All right, you have a great day, Big Frank.
Talk to you soon.
All right,
Bye-bye.
we'll see you. Oh man. And then I'm getting, like I said, I really had Big Frank on for probably the longest we've had him on because treasure trove of information and great picker. He's like, picking all the good games. I ate my daughter's pizza last night. So she was supposed to have that for lunch today. And I'm going to tell her that I'm sorry. And this is dead air, but this is important. That was probably her lunch plans today. I am sorry about that. I might have had a little bit of vino and saw that pizza from across the street, and I guess I got after it. And, okay, so I took care of that. She's not too angry with me. We like to be honest here on the breakdown about all of our transgressions. Okay, so Big Frank picks the Bills. I love that pick. I tell you what, that guy's. And I keep forgetting to ask him. The rumor has it in Chi-Town that Big Frank and his son are building a new tailgating vehicle situation, party bus thing. So I can't believe I forgot to ask him about that. But that was an excellent Big Frank segment. And honestly, I could just end the show right there. And we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. But I'm going to go ahead and give you, the viewers and the listeners, what you want and what you came here for. And that's your boy Ben, right here on the breakdown, to talk smack and, talk about all the random things that I have for you today, that I have in store for you. One is not football related, but I, yours truly, ordered this Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife circa World War II from Sheffield, England. It came in the mail, and I got to say, I was underwhelmed, to put it gently. This thing, I should have brought it and show you, but it's like, first of all, I know dudes had smaller hands back however many years ago, but this thing looks like a letter opener. It literally looks like a letter opener, and apparently, it was used for kind of taking out sentries and sneak attacks mainly, but it is very much so a dagger. It is about the size of a letter opener. It is not comfortable in the hand. There's no frame of reference to where the edge is because the handle's rounded. And I'm just like, it's so very European and British. It's like, and then I have a K-bar. That's the United States Marine Corps fighting knife. And that thing is badass, beefy, yet wieldy and stabby. And like, it's so very British to be like, oh, well, this is the superior because we did this. And I'm like, dude, I could literally snap that knife into two pieces with just my bare hands. So unimpressed, Fairbairn and Sykes. Very impressed with the good old-fashioned K-bar. That's where it's at. United States Marine Corps. Let's go. Looks like they're going to be a little busy down south of the border pretty soon. That should be interesting. We will be back with some of that news. I hear that that they might potentially let the the special operations group and special forces dudes go and kill a bunch of cartel members. That could be interesting. I would pay to see that movie in real life. Um, but are we not ourselves involved with the cartels on a big level? I don't know. So things are a little random today, folks. I understand that, but that's what we're here to do is have fun. Uh, that's my Fairbairn Sykes breakdown. Not that anybody wanted to know about that, but that's what you get. National championship. We talked about that with Big Frank. I was pleased with the outcome. It wasn't like in 2012, 2013 when Notre Dame just got torched by Bama. But anyways, we got Texans Chiefs that we had. On the Mahomes calls against roughing the passer and these things. It's pretty. I think there is definitely something there. It's much like the Tom Brady years. The best of the best are going to get the benefit of the doubt, but these defenses of these other teams have to know that and be prepared for that going into these games. And I think we're just hearing this from the fans, the fanatics of the National Football League that, Mahomes is getting all these calls, which he is to a degree, but the ref, you can't allow the ref to be the difference in you winning or losing a game like this because it shouldn't come down to that. Do better. Beat them. They're half asleep most of the game. And cut to Taylor Swift. Cut to Taylor Swift. And then Taylor Swift had Caitlin Clark in her box with her, which we should all know, if you're sports fans, who Caitlin Clark is. She's the best women's college basketball player to ever live. And I was just like, does Taylor Swift just pluck whomever she wants out of, the sporting world or Hollywood or whatever to come watch games with her? It's so weird. And everybody all of a sudden is a Chiefs fan. Okay. Can we discuss bandwagon jumping garbage that happens in sports? When I was a kid in 1995, I was 10 years old. All of a sudden, everybody from Midland, Texas was a Chicago Bulls fan. Because why? Because of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and freaking Dennis Rodman's crazy ass. And everybody was wearing Bulls gear, right? Which, okay, that's fine. But this Chiefs thing, which I don't blame. A lot of the Chiefs fandom is coming in our local area because Patrick Mahomes went to Texas Tech University, which is my almost mater, like we call it. Guns up, Wreckham Tech. But anyways, he was a Texas Tech guy, so a lot of people from that went to Tech or from our area are always rooting for Mahomes to win, and that's great. He's a good dude. He's a good guy. He appears to be a good father and husband. And and I'm also going to say that I think the Dallas Cowboys are year by year losing fans to the Kansas City Chiefs because they got a Texas kid at quarterback from Texas Tech, and they just freaking win all the time. So everybody loves a winner. And it's kind of, Kansas, Texas, we're not that far, So I think the Cowboys they're in dire straits. The shine has almost completely worn off of the America's team. I think America's team now is Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you got Taylor Swift, the most... And I talk about Taylor Swift a lot on this program, mostly in jest and having fun, but it's legitimate. Taylor Swift is the most famous freaking person in the world, probably. Probably more people know who that is than any other person in our pop culture that we have. Actors, actresses, musicians, politicians. I guarantee you Taylor Swift is the most popular of all of those people. And then she happens to be dating long term now a future Hall of Fame tight end for, guess who? The Kansas City Chiefs. So we all just, we all hate the Chiefs that aren't the Chiefs. And then in the as far as the Cowboys go, it's like if you can't beat them, join them. Because the fans of the Dallas Cowboys are so tired of Jerry Jones' crazy old ass, and nobody really wants to coach. Nobody good, nobody great wants to coach for Jerry Jones. They don't, because their hands are tied. They're going to have to be a yes man. That's why it didn't work out with all these people. So I think you're about to see the Cowboys go into a almost like a realization, because they have sucked for 30 years. Like, sucked. Since 1995, or since Barry Switzer left. Or who, I might be off on some of my years there, but I think now there's a realization that you suck. And I've been a part of that for a long time. I'm a damn Raiders fan, okay? I deal with a crazy, dumbass owner, too, that just doesn't have as much money as Jerry Jones, clearly. But, the Dak Prescott stuff, we like to poke fun at the Cowboys around here, but it's legit, because you got, like, Rome isn't burning. Rome is, like, toasty. The smoke, it's, there's nothing left of Rome. There's nothing left of Arlington, of Dallas. It's done. And, if Deion Sanders was going to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, he would have already taken the job. That would have already happened, And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he ends up being the coach. But, like, who the hell wants to go into that dumpster fire that is the Dallas Cowboys? Okay, goodbye, Cowboys. I want the Bills to win this weekend. I want them to beat the Chiefs, but I really don't think they will. I think that the Chiefs are going to do what they do. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Spags, on the defensive end of things, and your Hall of Famer tight end, your Hall of Famer quarterback are going to do what they do, and they're going to get good calls. And Sean McDermott is the coach of the Buffalo Bills, and dude, he doesn't have the magic, dude, to go win a Super Bowl. I don't think. I want that to be true. I love the Bills Mafia. These Bills fans are wild. They're crazy. They're like everything that I love about a fan base that is the opposite of Philly fan. Buffalo fan, Bills Mafia has fun. They jump off of roofs of RVs onto tables and folding chairs, and they spray ketchup and mustard all over each other. It is just, I wish I could go to one of those tailgates. Maybe Big Frank and I can go do that someday. But, okay. We're kind of all over the map here. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have fun. I do have this Wall Street Journal. They don't pay me anything, but they should now. So I'll be waiting for that in the mail. But they have some really good sports writers. Obviously, I mean, they're the Journal. They're great. There's probably the least amount of communist propaganda out of all the newspapers in the Washington Journal. They do have all kinds of opinions and views politically and everything like that, but they keep it they keep it pretty solid. They stand on business, as I once heard. But okay, we know what's going to happen with the Chiefs Bills. I will be taking the Chiefs -1.5, because that, folks, is what's about to go down. And next week, when we get back on the show, Big Frank picked the Bills for all the right reasons, and he very well may be correct on his pick. However, sometimes, as we've said on the show, I bet with my heart, I bet with destiny, I bet with voodoo, and Taylor Swift voodoo is real. It is real, and you're going to see it play out this weekend. Taylor Swift is not going to go home with a loser on Sunday. She's not. She's going home with a winner. And his name is Travis Kelce. And if I can bitch about something else, here we go. The Kelce brothers would be irrelevant if it weren't for Taylor Swift. Like Jason Kelsey, like nobody even really knew who he was. He's kind of ESPN's like paying him tons of money right now to host some of their shows, and I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't think he's that funny. I think the big drunk fat oaf gig is kind of old, but whatever. I'm clearly not the majority on that opinion, but it's just fascinating to me how much a pop culture sensation has. I mean, it's like if the NFL could not be more relevant, it damn sure is now. you know? But so the Chiefs are going to beat the Bills. Um, hold on, what do we have here? It is my lady texting me. I can take a text. It's my show, whatever. Um, okay, let's start closing it up. Bears hired their coach, Ben Johnson. That is awesome. My Rams, they lost. That is sad. Jaden Daniels' story with the Commandos. Wow, that I'll touch on that for a moment before we close up shop here. But he is a rookie quarterback for the Washington Commandos. That's right. I refuse to say their real name because it is dumb. It is not cool. It is not tough. It is not football. I'm okay with them changing their name, the formerly known as the Washington Redskins, to a new name. But let's make it something besides the Commanders. That is the lamest. So the Commandos is much cooler, much tougher. Just like Arnold in the movie Commando. So Jaden Daniels. Dan Snyder was the former owner of the Washington Commandos, the artists formerly known as Washington Redskins. And he was the worst owner in all of sports. And it was pretty much everybody agreed with that point because it was horrible. And then he was, gosh, there's all these allegations against how the workplace was under his ownership. Very smug, very much of an ass, billionaire clown that thinks he, can do whatever he wanted. And he did for many years until he was pushed out ultimately by, I guess, the other 32 owners or whatever it is. And so in basically we'll call it 2 years, maybe it's been more than that, maybe it's been 3, I'm not sure. But the new ownership group comes in and boom, like that, they draft Jaden Daniels, and he is a rookie quarterback, and he is taking them to the title game here for their division. And I think the Eagles are going to roll them up like a doobie, and probably isn't going to be pretty there, or we could be surprised again. But that has been a great story about a franchise that was just in no man's land for a lot of years that is kind of on top right now, and they knocked out the Lions. That was crazy. Okay. And my Washington Journal. Yeah, this Bears Raiders game from 1984 is just wild. Anyways, yeah, the Wall Street Journal has great sports stuff on there, and I think everybody should get a copy and read it. Okay, we've touched on what's going to happen this weekend. We've touched on the Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife is a weak little sister in comparison to the United States Marine Corps K-bar knife and its brothers and sisters of that same name out of Olean, New York. You can get them straight from the company where they make them, right here in the U.S. of A. Okay. We have... Oh, before I close up shop, Abilene has just been selected to a $500 billion artificial intelligence thing. Okay? So this is our outside the lines of sports thing. Sorry, ESPN, whatever. So this has been on my radar for a few months now because I read a lot of news because I don't do social media because social media is just, well, it's poisonous to our society. So it is one of the things that I abstain from is social media because I just think it's really bad news. And anyways, so Abilene, Texas is a recipient of $500 billion AI company. It's going to bring 100,000 jobs to our community. Now, that's where I always go, wait a minute. So you're saying 100,000 jobs. There's about 115, 20, give or take, thousand people that live in Abilene, Texas, okay? So that would give everybody here a job, right? But you know that they're going to outsource those jobs because who the hell in Abilene, Texas knows how has ever worked for an AI company before besides maybe a handful of people. So you're telling me you're going to send 100,000 jobs to Abilene. I tell you, prove it. I'll believe it when I see it. I think these jobs are going to be coming from tech bros and states like California that's damn near burned to the ground. Where are all these people going to go? They're coming here, which is fine if you bring your money, but leave your politics because you look what's happened here. you know? So the news of getting a $500 billion AI thing, which I should be able to speak on what it is exactly a little bit better. But I make jokes about this, but like we've all seen Terminator 2, Skynet. Like that's what is happening collectively. And I read the Wall Street Journal daily. I get it. It gets sent to my house. I'm up on a lot of this stuff, a lot of tech bro stuff, and who these people are. Well, the people that are running these artificial intelligence companies are begging the government to regulate it somehow, but the government isn't really sure how. And like, it's almost like we all know what the end game here is and what the outcome is. It's freaking iRobot. It's Terminator 2, man. Like, it's right here in front of us. And here we all are nervously embracing our fate. And I know this is a weird topic for a sports show, but it's very local to me and to us. And what I don't get it. I think it's really wild that nobody really knows the intensity of how all this AI business is truly going to affect human beings. And everybody talks jobs all the freaking time. Politicians talk jobs. City council people talks jobs. Everybody jobs. Okay, well, this technology is basically going to phase us out. And you can think what you want. Watch it. If you live long enough, watch it. It's all going to happen. So that to me is pretty wild. But we're here at the Breakdown and we love sports. And like I always tell my friends, no matter what happens, the Cowboys are always going to suck on Sunday. Doesn't matter. But anyways, that's my show for today. I guess AI is the new future of us. And what does that mean for us? Well, we're going to find out. And our kids and grandchildren are going to be the recipients of the byproduct of whatever this does to all of us. But I am excited to see those 100,000 jobs for Abilenians that are coming our way, and then we can talk about how that doesn't happen. But anyways, that's my spiel on that. Thank you to my technical producer, Sammy. Happy birthday, my man. I love you. Your life wouldn't be the same without you in it, and I love all my friends and all my people. And We are live at the Majestic Coffee Shop at the Neon Parrot Live Studios. We are looking for sponsors right now. We've got people that are knocking down our door wanting to be sponsors. So if you want to be one, we can try to bump you up in the line, but I mean it's first come first serve around here, guys. And if you do choose to do a sponsorship with us, we're gonna get your name out there. We're going to rep your business. We are going to have you involved at the Cotton Warehouse concerts that are on a hiatus because it actually did get cold in Abilene, Texas. Weird, but it did. But when that concert series kicks back up in the spring, if you choose to be a sponsor of our show, we will promote the heck out of your business or whatever it is that you do. And you will be on the backs of the Breakdown and the Travie Wavy and the Neon Parrot Live Studios. So anyways, and how about this cool parrot? We found this in the back the other day. I found it. I'm sure Sammy knew it was there, but anyways, I got my little Raiders helmet on there. Okay. All right, guys. Love you. Thanks for joining us on the Breakdown and listening to my just God knows what I talk about every week. It sure is fun for me. And thanks again and happy birthday to Sam. I've told these are my Clark Kent glasses. They do work. They are prescription, but I don't need them because I see just fine. I just wear them for style sometimes when I'm reading, you know? But anyways, Sammy, if you want to take us out, I will see you all next week. Love you. Thanks, Jan. Killed it this week. I got, Jan gave me some new hair products. Makeup was okay. We've had better there.